All right, folks, a lot of people are still celebrating a lot of the major things that are going on in the world, and we'll be talking about that here on Pod TV, seeing what people have got on their mind, including Dr. Sharif and others that will hopefully be joining us in the near future. And all along those lines, I did see him earlier, and hopefully he'll be making a return trip and all in that space. But we're going to see what folks have got on their minds. I see that Nick Palveda has joined me. And of course, I've got to tease Nick and ask him if the people in Spain are talking about the big shocking news, which is that Spain is a favorite in the World Cup. We know a lot of news has been going on in the sports world and all along those lines. But I did see that Spain lost to the small African country of Cape Verde, which is definitely something that is shocking many people. And I didn't know if that was a big news item in Spain, because that's something that I saw where they had lost, or not lost, but been tied, which is something that can happen in even the World Cup and everything like that. So Nick, I know there's a number of other things, including this whole notion of Social Security solvency and whether it's going to be one. I'm actually trying to get a couple of people to come on our show and talk about that, because I was reaching out to some other guests that hopefully be joining us and all along those lines. But I was just wondering, there in Spain, is there a lot of talk? Because I doubt they're talking about the NBA or the NHL, even though there are some Finnish players and some Russian players on the Canes team that won and everything like that. But are they talking about this, I guess, what it would amount to an upset? Because I think Cape Verde might be like the 161st country or something like that, but they're definitely a lower ranked African nation in the world of World Cup, and they somehow managed to get a tie to the favorites, because I know that Spain and France are favorites at this year's World Cup. So I was just wondering, has there been a lot of conversation about this notion of the semi-upset? Because it's not like y'all lost, but y'all did have a tie. So has there been a lot of conversation about that over there in Spain?
Yes, unfortunately. They're very upset with this result, because Spain is a powerhouse, as we all know, in soccer, or what they call football over here. And Cape Verde is not a powerhouse. It's a small little group of islands off the African coast, populated by Portuguese, and has 150,000 people. I mean, you're talking about a real small island. And they managed somehow to tie Spain. So it was not fun at all for the Spaniards to see Cape Verde, or whatever they call it, the Cape Verde Islands, actually tie Spain in the World Cup. So yeah, it's big news over here. People are upset. People are jumping out of windows. They're committing suicide. I mean, they're burning in the streets. It's horrible. I mean,
it sounds like that would be horrible and everything like that. Yeah. But and I don't know what
can't be anything worse than Spain not winning the World Cup. I mean, it's Spain. So
it's Spain, and y'all are supposed to be on the favorites along with France, and of course Brazil is usually a favorite. Argentina is usually a favorite. There's a number of others that are favorites in this competition, because we've already got the games. They started back on the 11th, so in the early part of the stages. But this will be something that will be taken up celebrations. I think that game was in Atlanta that Spain lost, but they'll be going to Miami. They'll be going to, I guess, alongside those other cities in the United States, and of course they'll be also going to places in Mexico and Canada. So it looks like the whole of North America will be having World Cup fever for a number of weeks and everything like that. I don't know if Bangladesh sent a team or not. So Dr. Sharif, did y'all send a team to the World Cup? Because I know that y'all are really big into cricket, but did you send a team to the World Cup?
No, Bangladesh do not attend as a football team in the World Cup Football Championship. Bangladesh people really like football so much, but definitely cricket is popular. But let's see, maybe next 20 years or something, Bangladesh will get chance to World Football Cup Championship and so on. One interesting thing, I see one of the Canadians, I think he is from Bangladesh. In the opening ceremony, he go for jazz music or performing music and so on. And I think he's from Bangladeshi background in the opening days. Besides that, one thing I just want to share: Bangladesh has huge supporter for Argentina and for Brazil.
You're
Many of the
kidding.
hues of the people actually they support Argentina and Brazil, and it's look like people actually crazy about that. Yeah, this is interesting place, and yes, people love football so much. And but one thing I want to understand, like football is not popular in USA, but USA playing in the World Club football championship, right?
Yeah, they have a team that's in the World Cup. Yes, of course. It's just not as popular as American football, American basketball, and our version of cricket, which is American baseball. Okay,
Okay.
so the thing is, they have things are just a little different here. I
Well,
always wondered what would happen if you took the top American football players and turn them into soccer players, or have the baseball players turn into cricket players. How well they would do, But
that's a good.
all the sports are a little different. So it would be interesting, but it would take them a while to be really good, and they may not ever be as good.
They may not ever be as good and everything like that. But speaking of sports news, and then we'll get to some world news as well and everything like that. But another big news that is going on, and you'll love this, Nick, and everything, is sports is very big even in the world of news. And there is a College World Series. And right now, there are teams that are in the double elimination round and being eliminated. Carolina, which is over there in Chapel Hill, won both of their games. So they are waiting for their opponent. They might already have their opponent and everything like that, but they have to lose twice, otherwise they'll be heading into the championship bracket and all along those lines. So definitely that is going on and all in that space. So it's interesting, this whole notion of the College World Series, and I see that Rick Rosner is joining us as well, so we'll ask him something along those lines. But yeah, the College World Series is going, and it does look like Carolina is doing well. I think they were waiting to hear who was going to win the game against Troy, which is a team that wasn't strongly favored against one of the semi-favorite teams.
Troy made it all the way to CWS. I know they beat Florida, but they won their region.
They won their region. Yes, Carolina won their region.
It's kind of incredible. Wow, Troy! Yeah. You got hats off to Troy. I mean, it's not a Division I Big Four school, but apparently they can play a little baseball, and every now and then that happens. We don't get the college. I'll have to say the U.S. College World Series, you don't watch in Barcelona. I mean, it's not happening. Now, we did see a movie that dealt with spirits, which was pretty good.
I've heard about that movie.
The House of Spirits. If you happen to see it, Rick, this is really a very fascinating movie. It's called The House of Spirits. It's a book written by Allende. And
so it's not a new book. Is it a new movie?
No, it's a new movie, but it's not a new book. But if you happen to see The House of Spirits, it is really a very well done movie. It's called The House of Spirits. And it's about, it looks like it's about Chile. Okay. Which people aren't familiar with, but Chile had some very, revolutionary deals going on back there. In other words, they basically, Allende was a communist. He took over the government. A lot of people got killed. Then Pinochet came in and killed Allende. I mean, it was just one of these.
Yeah, and there's I've got some friends that have actually been done movies. The Ariel Dorfman and his Ariel Dorfman and his son Rodrigo, who is a filmmaker. They actually came from that country and everything like that. So they have some very interesting
They actually came from Chile.
They came from Chile, yes. It is Chile, Argentina. I think they're from Chile, if I remember correctly, and everything like that. But they definitely know that history and all along those lines. So definitely that would be very interesting to hear more about that. Apparently, there's been some conversation coming back to world news about this notion that Macron and Zelensky were having a conversation about how to handle Trump. So they were having this at the G7 conference and all along those lines, because they're trying to figure out how to deal with Trump at the G7 conference. And apparently they were having a were heard on camera game planning how to handle Trump and all along those lines. So, and of course, Trump had a meeting, and there was all the conversation around the handshake with Macron's wife and everything like that. So I guess folks are figuring out what to do with Trump and everything like that. And there has been some notion about forcing Russia into peace. So Zelensky thanks G7 leaders for strong ideas on how to force Russia into peace. And of course, there's notions around sanctions as well, and all in that space. So what is our thoughts around this notion of the G7 conference and all of this conversation going on in that space? So y'all following that story, and what do you think about?
I believe Donald went to the G7.
Whether he can function competently in a group setting, not surrounded by his people anymore, is, I don't know. We should talk about the peace treaty, though, the U.S.-Iran peace agreement.
Yeah, that's actually pretty big if it holds. U.S. Iran,
but also they're keeping it secret because, and the thinking is that it's secret from the terms are being kept from the American people because we didn't achieve anything that we went to war to try to get.
Wait, we killed a lot of people and we gave the Iranians back their $25 billion. So we did accomplish stuff.
So remember how much trouble Obama got in with everybody because
But that was Obama. This is Donald. Donald never gets
Obama returned $1.7 billion in frozen oil revenue to Iran after they made a deal to let us inspect for nukes.
Yeah,
that was the most terrible thing in the world, according to Republicans. Now we're going to give them
$25 billion
back. Yeah, yes, and maybe $300 billion in development and rebuilding funds.
Oh, how sweet! You know, we're such a generous country,
and we're not getting any of their nuclear materials. There's no regime change. Their missiles are still largely intact and being rebuilt.
So we have a peaceful agreement. That's good, right? In other words, this way, oil prices go down. I can fly around without. I can go to see Dr. Sharif in Dhaka without worrying about having the plane flights go out of control. Okay, and then Dr. Sharif and I get together and figure out how we can give $300 billion to Bangladesh.
So we're beginning.
$300 billion, baby.
This is the beginning of the 12th week of gas being over $4 a gallon national average in the U.S. I think it'll drop under $4 in the next few days.
Yeah, it'll start going down.
So the gas will get cheaper. It's not the $2 gas that Trump promised. It's not the 2% inflation.
But if you think about it, if he's putting the wheels in motion to get the economy back on track, and of course the IPO at SpaceX helped a lot, like a shot in the arm to create millionaires and billionaires. And America they worship the millionaires and billionaires. The problem is most of them aren't.
Well, let's talk about the trillionaire, the world's richest man. I've noticed I'm on his social media site X
you like
a lot. And I've noticed that people can now use the N-word on X over and over again, dozens of times. Just go on there and call everybody N-word this, N-word that. Also the F-word.
The N-word that rhymes with bigger?
Yeah, and I found sites that are found people on Twitter who are just saying the F word, the N word, the F word for gay people that rhymes with maggot, and it used to be those people would get taken down. Those people aren't getting taken down anymore, and in fact, in December, the European Commission, I don't know what that is, but whatever it is, it fined X, Elon Musk's site, $140 million for failing to protect people from hate speech, because in Europe they have laws against it. But why would the world's richest man give a shit about $140 million?
He shouldn't. So he probably doesn't. I mean, and then they also, when they find somebody, they also got to collect it too. And so it's a big process. In other words, I'm going to find you. I'm going to find Twitch or Twitter, or whatever they call it now, X. I'm going to find X $1 million. Okay, so I'm going to send Elon a fine for $1 million. So what? I still have to collect it, so we could create a nonprofit entity that decides to fine them. It's just not.
Well, speaking of these deals, there's also a deal to end the war with the U.S. That we're talking about with Iran, but they're saying that the deal with the end the war requires Israel to withdraw from Lebanon. I understand that there are giving women a little bit more freedom in Iran, even though the Revolutionary Guard and some of the other organizations might not be too happy with that and everything like that. So we'll see how long the peace holds up and all along with those lines. Trump says he's not happy with how Israel has fought Hezbollah, and Syria should do so instead. So he wants Syria to fight Hezbollah, not Israel. So this is.
But wait, who's saying that those are the terms? Who's saying that the regime is being held to anything? Because
the regime is having a hard time dealing with Trump, and Trump's having a hard time dealing with Iran. As a matter of fact, the vice president of Iran goes, "How do you deal with this guy?" And you know what? It's a match made in heaven. Think about it. The Iranians and Donald. You can't do anything better than that. So let them at each other. In the meantime, the rest of the world will progress. Let they figure it out. So what we need to do is do like our friend in Bangladesh is doing, move forward with positive progress and ignore all the squabbling out in the world. And so that's what Dr. Sharif's doing. He's tuning out the crazies of the Americans and just says, I got to focus in on being positive.
Speaking about
and moving Bangladesh.
He's got on his network, he's got a young lady from Brazil that comes on every once in a while. I can't think of her name. I think I used to be on the show with her. I think it's Alice, if I remember correctly, Dr. Sharif. But there was a road jumper in Brazil that fell to her death after operators failed to secure the harness and everything like that. So
I saw that.
So what people thinking about that, and how concerned are you if you're doing stunts and everything like that?
I'm not going to do.
Instructors were charged in the bridge jumping death of the woman not secured to the road.
Okay, the thing is, she was going to do bungee jumping, which, by the way, I'm not worried about because I'm never going to do it. But what they do is they tie these little ropes to your ankles. They throw you off, and you're supposed to bump up. Okay. Well, what happened was 3 people got together because they're a team to put her up there, and she made a Superman thing, and then they threw her off. But they forgot to put the bungees on her. So for 131 feet, from what I understand it was, she crashed, she died, she burned. I mean, it reminds me of, there was a time where a professional skydiver jumped out of a plane, but he made a mistake. He forgot his parachute. He went straight down, he died. I mean, things like that, unfortunately, that happens. And in a way, you feel sorry for what way they're doing a dangerous sport. What really gets me is the mountain climbers. They climb today without harnesses, okay? And the mortality rate is off the chart. So one guy's showing all his YouTube, oh, look, I'm climbing a mountain. And I don't have a harness or anything. I'm just doing bear claws up a vertical steep. And he can do it because they're thin, wiry. A big fat guy like me, I'd have no chance. I would.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't make it easy.
My hometown was full of stuff to climb, and was Boulder.
You have Flagstaff Mountain. You have Flagstaff Mountain.
Got stuff to climb all the time. Hey, I got a legal question for you that I want to get to some other serious news and everything like that. But I was talking to some friends of mine yesterday, young people that are dancers and everything like that. We know that we've got a homeless problem here in North Carolina, just like everybody else does. And she was telling me that a person approached her and was saying that no woman should have to pump her own gas. So that's the reason he was approaching her. She was thinking that he was going to be panhandling, because we do have people that panhandle, and all along those lines. And she was telling me that she was startled because the man just came out of nowhere and she didn't know what his intentions were. And she was pumping her own gas at the time, and she did have, I think she might be a smoker, she did have a lighter, and she was like saying that the guy had kept coming to me and everything like that, I might have had to do a quick douse and a flame and everything like that. And then she was just asking hypothetically, I wonder if that had happened, if I could have gotten off, because it would have been considered self-defense. And me and her other friend were like, no, that probably would have been considered murder.
To get away with something like that, you got to be a cop. In LA, this woman was celebrating. She lived in a condo. She was celebrating the Knicks winning the championship with her golden doodle. She was screaming. Her neighbor called the cops. 20 cops show up. They shoot the dog.
Oh, poor dog.
Yeah, and so, but the cops, the LAPD has already released a statement saying it was a large dog, and the officer was afraid. You've seen golden doodles, right? They're the cutest,
Yeah.
friendliest dogs in the
Yeah, they're
world.
goofy dogs.
And this one was wearing a Knicks jersey, so people are.
Well, maybe they didn't like the Knicks. You know. I mean,
So I looked up Bangladesh, and
yeah, it's a country.
Bangladesh is emerging as a critical middle power in the Indo-Pacific.
Yeah.
So
They have
where-
170 million people,
and
in
you're
a place
situated
about the size-
in the Bay of Bengal between, you know, you've got
Speaking
India
of Bangladesh.
to the west, you've got China to the north. It ideally situates you to you've got your GDP is higher than India's.
Hey, Dr.
Really?
Sharif, just really
Yeah.
quickly, because I got a question about
Per
Bangladesh
capita,
as
per
well
capita.
and everything like that. I have a serious question about Bangladesh because I was watching because y'all know I love to watch some of these old TV shows. I was watching an old crime TV show, and one of the characters was associated with Bangladesh and everything like that. And they mentioned Bangladesh having a strong, and given this movie was several years ago, maybe even a decade or two ago, because it was one of the Law and Order, a very big fashion industry. And, you know, we had a big textile industry here in Durham, North Carolina, as well as the tobacco industry. So I was wondering, is textiles and fashion still a big industry in Bangladesh? So y'all still have a lot of work in the fashion industry?
Yeah, definitely. This textile industry is a very big hub in Bangladesh. But I'm worried about this development of AI because last month I see that in India, in the textile industry, they are utilizing AI for replacing human. Right? They are actually trying to do that. So most of our buyers come from Western world, especially from North America, and North America heavily developing their artificial intelligence. So there is a high chance, definitely there is a high chance that many of the textile industry may replaced by AI. So yeah, so this is one of the challenging things I think Bangladesh has to face because of the AI revolutions.
Yeah, but you have something that's going on in your favor. Dhaka will become the largest city in the world in the next 5 years. Right now, it's the second largest city in the world behind Jakarta and ahead of Tokyo. But at its growth rate, Dhaka, where you live, will be the largest city in the world, which then it brings a lot of business to it because that's the reason the Intercontinental hotels are there, is because you guys have an incredible population. You know, and Dhaka, and it's going to be the biggest city in the world.
This is I want to say not a good indicators because Dhaka is a very small city. Definitely we need decentralizations because of too much of people. We have traffic issues, we have pollution related issues, and so on. Also, our prime ministers and our government trying to decentralize Bangladesh. It's definitely difficult because Bangladesh is a very small country, it's a lot of populations. But this is interesting discussion. Nick has a very good economic predictions and so on. So it may create positive impact for Bangladesh.
Yeah, but those are solvable problems. I mean, the thing is, a lot of cities have a lot of people. I mean, there are ways that you can solve the problem, and you can solve the pollution problem too. What they did in Spain is they have all their trains are electronic. So when I go out to the beach, these trains go by. There's no smoke. There's no gas coming out because it's all electric. And the thing is, you move your vehicles to electric, you can get rid of a lot of the pollution. I mean, these are problems and challenges that they have solutions to them, Dr. Shree, if people will get together and solve the problems. The other thing they do to keep the cities clean, now this is in Vienna, is there are people out every day cleaning the bloody streets. I mean, it's incredible. They're like, they have armies of people in Vienna. So every time you go to Vienna or Prague, everything's sparkling clean. And then in the morning, there's like tons of people cleaning the bloody streets. They take pride in having their streets sparkling clean. So all you need
Well,
to do
speaking of cleaning the
is clean
streets
the
and
bloody
everything like that,
streets, which they would do
yeah,
in
but
Spain.
you know, when we have these big celebrations, I'm sure there's not going to be a lot of cleaning going on at the World Cup and some of these various stadiums. I know that Lenovo was pretty much trashed after they won because they were having a watch party after they won the NHL and everything like that. I'm pretty sure that Madison Square Garden, well, actually the San Antonio Stadium was trashed as well and everything like that. So it's good that we've got people that are out there cleaning these stadiums after they have these big celebrations, because they had big celebrations throughout Raleigh, and the parade to celebrate the Stanley Cup will be on this Saturday and everything like that. But you know, and I'm curious to see about this because you mentioned AI, Dr. Sharif, and everything like that. But there are several governments, including the UK and Australia, that are now going to ban social media for children under 16. Fortunately, I think both of my nephews will be over that age if they were living in those countries, because one will turn 18 in August and the other will turn 17 this August and everything like that. But I just wondered, what's your take on this notion of social media banning kids from the internet and everything like that? And are y'all trying to do something similar in Bangladesh?
I think for implementing this kind of policy is impossible for Bangladesh. Still, we do not have because try to understand major policy and other things for Bangladesh come from abroad. Example, JICA help to develop policy and so on. Mm, but many of our young people they actually making money through uh, as a social media influential and so on. Even those who are under 16 years old in Bangladesh. Let's see what happened. But for me, how I understand this local economy, how I understand the local culture and social activities, it's almost impossible to ban social media or those who are under for 16 years old.
Yeah, that makes sense and everything like that. Hey, Sasha, I saw and I mentioned before you got here that Zelensky and Macron were actually having a meeting to deal with how to handle Trump and all along those lines. But I also saw, and I'm just wondering, do you ever worry about your own safety and everything? That a Russian opposition artist, Robert Kosovich, was shot dead in exile in Poland. And I know that you're very much, like many of us are, a critic of Putin and everything like that. But this satirist was shot recently and everything like that after some anti-Putin protests in Berlin. And I know that you're probably not on his radar and everything like that, even though Pod TV does try to be an international station. But I was just wondering, are you ever concerned about your own safety at any time with all of this stuff going on in the wars?
I'm concerned about my safety, but Putin has very little to do with that. I'm concerned simply because we live in a very complicated world, a very violent world, and everybody should be concerned about his or her safety. I think that Putin hopefully will do for the West something that nobody else could, is to unite the West, is prepare West for a long confrontation, and so therefore people will sacrifice some of their comforts and material well-being for being able to resist the aggression. By the way, this G7 meeting in France is very interesting, is that except Macron, nobody communicates with Trump. Trump alone walks to his room, and he comes, and he sits, and he sleeps in a chair. And for example, our Prime Minister, Carney, he has no scheduled meetings with Trump, not even telephone call, nothing. I will show you what he commented is, there's nothing for me to tell him. Why would I waste my time to communicate with a person that I have nothing to tell and listen to his garbage? That's for me all waste of time. So just forget it. And the most interesting thing, in my opinion, is what's going to happen with that so-called deal with Iran, whether it will survive by Friday. For example, Israel announced that there's no way they will leave Lebanon. And that's part of the deal. But we don't know what is the deal actually, because it's never been announced, it's never been declared. So we can all guess what deal. It's not even a deal, it's memorandum of understanding, which is not binding by any stretch of imagination. So this is, but actually Trump mentioned something in France, I think it was Macron or so. He said that he needed this deal by Sunday to make sure that stock market will do well. That's his only consideration. No, what he doesn't care one way or another is a deal or no deal or whatever it might be. Maybe there will be continuation of war, maybe there will not. He cares about his stock account, and he's doing hundreds of $1 billion worth of trades. For example, the figures from first quarter and second quarter probably will not be different. And that's the only thing where he cares. He doesn't care about inflation. He doesn't care about gas price. He doesn't care about nothing. It's just well-being of himself and his family and his cronies in the State Department, cabinet, whatever he has around. So this is why I'm skeptical. You know, the deal is so bad that it's unclear whether this deal is beneficial for the United States or not. It's so bad. Maybe sometimes no deal is better than a bad deal. So maybe that's the case. But we will see. What's today's Tuesday, so there are 3 more days, and either it will not be signed, so then we are wasting our time discussing it, or it will be signed, so at least next day it will be published, the text of that memorandum. I think people will be shocked to find out what's in this memorandum. In fact, this is so far, by far the biggest win for Iran in all its newest history, because it started the war, and U.S. and Israel, they had such an overwhelming advantage, and what's happening now, all that advantage is gone. Iran has 75% of its missiles. It's all intact. Drones, and it's already building new missiles and new drones. And from a materialistic point of view, if that deal will go through, Iran will have injection of $25 billion. You know how Trump was critical about Obama deal, that Iran got, I think, $1.8 billion, and Trump was so upset about it. But what's happening now, we are talking about $25 billion will go away of Iran, so it will even more build the drones and missiles and so on. So I don't know, maybe now it's a last chance to completely dislodge this regime and completely take it over, and there will be cost. Absolutely, there will be cost, and Americans will die as a result of it. But maybe that's a price to pay, rather than go to this horrendous.
We're not going to do it. We're not going to do it. We're going to get this terrible deal, and Trump is going to tell everybody it's the best deal in history, and enough Americans will believe it that it won't make any difference for Trump.
Rick, I think a lot of Americans now have their own view of Trump and his so-called deal-making abilities. And they understand that they were trapped by Trump, and they have to suffer because of that. And there's enough opposing media to Trump which explains every step of whatever deal he's trying to make or so on. So it's not going to be easy for him to portray this deal as the greatest thing for Americans or so on. It's not. And so what I would say is, let's wait until Friday and day after until Friday whether the memorandum will be signed, and if not, then we don't care about what's in this memorandum. Now, if it will be signed, then next day supposedly we will get a text of this memorandum, and we'll enjoy and applaud Trump's genius as a deal maker.
We'll see how that works.
All right,
Genius
all
and
right.
everything like that. It
I
just
know, I'm not
really-
optimistic. So he had all the hoo-ha on the White House lawn, the UFC fights. The day before it, they had motorcycle jumping on the White House lawn. They put up 2 big ramps and they did X Games in front of
It's a
the White House.
circus. It's a circus.
Yeah, and only 16% of Americans approved of this, thought it was a good idea. But still, he did it. We have no recourse to stop him from doing crazy stuff, at least until the midterms.
Well, there are some things that could stop him. For example, Carnegie Hall. All his signs, all his name, everything associated with Trump was taken out from Carnegie Hall. So there is a way.
Kennedy Center.
Sorry, Kennedy Center, of course. So there is a way to stop him if there is a will, if people will unite in that case. And in fact, that's what's going to happen by midterms. So it's
But you
not
know what he did? When they put up the letters, they used scissor lifts, those little things on wheels, and then they go up and you put on the letters. He put those up in full view. When he took them down, he built scaffolding and then he hung a curtain so you couldn't, his shame was hidden. And he still hasn't taken down the curtain. So I mean, he'll keep trying to find ways to work around.
Well, listen, I've said many times that Trump's presidency is the worst thing what could happen in the history of America. People choose him for whatever reasons over Biden.
Harris.
What's her name?
Kamala Harris.
Oh, Kamala Harris. Okay. I'm not saying that Kamala Harris is the great person or anything or so on. But knowing history of Trump, Kamala Harris or just anybody, a year and a half old child would be better than Trump. Okay? So whatever Kamala Harris, she had shortcomings of all kinds or so on, but she would be much better for people than this con man.
Well, what you guys fail to recognize is he's fairly representative of the American people. So you can complain all you like, but the American people elected Donald. And so the thing is,
Nick, you're right. I'm not election denier. I confirm that he was elected.
Right. Yeah. And whether you like it or not, there is a lot of Americans that are behind this guy. I mean, no matter what.
What's his approval rating now, Nick?
Well, 38.6%.
How low is it?
38.6.
Yeah. Okay.
It's the lowest, but that's still a significant. It's the lowest of any president in 80 years since Harry Truman. But it's still a huge chunk of America.
It's a chunk of America. That I agree. Okay, so you can imagine this. He's able to pull all these stunts, Sasha, and still have nearly 40% of Americans back him. So you know what it tells you? It tells you a lot about the American people. He reflects who America is.
Well, not exactly. Okay, it's basically 40%. Half of that, 20% of Americans are not paying much attention, but are patriotic and will support the president regardless of who the president is. And then another 20% are, a mix between reluctant Republicans saying, all right, well, and lunatic MAGAs.
So, but when he got elected, I predicted this was going to be chaos too. But let me tell you something. If you ever see this movie, like I do recommend it, it's called The House of Spirits. If you have a chance to go see it, you should go see it. And they said things can get worse. here's what's going to happen. You think this is bad? It's going to get worse. And you know why? The Democrats are going to come in and they're going to win the House. And then all chaos is going to break loose in the United States for the next 2 years. So even though it looks bad to you guys today, you haven't seen anything yet.
Well,
It's gonna
the
be
chaos is
crazy. in
some
2
of the
years.
chaos is this: once the Democrats take the House, if they do, and it's still a little bit up in the air because of redistricting, it looks like they have a pretty great chance. But anyway, if they do take the House, they come in early January. They sometime pretty early on, they probably vote to impeach. Trump goes on trial before the Senate. He doesn't have to show up. They just have a trial. And he won't get kicked out of office. He'll just get pissed off. They will subpoena, the Dems in the House will hold hearings, a ton of hearings about the Epstein files, because half of the Epstein files, the most damaging half, have still not been released. 3 million documents. And so they're going to be fighting about that for the next 2 years.
Oh, and it's going to be worse because once they take over the House, they're going to subpoena every person that's part of Trump's cabinet. It's going to be a complete circus for 2
But enforcement,
years.
you like to say enforce it, and everybody subpoenaed will be
Oh, they're not going to be able to.
come and get it.
They'll be able to enforce a subpoena to get you to go to the House, but it'll die at the House. So they'll impeach Trump again for the third time. It'll go to the Senate. It'll be dismissed. Okay. Then they're going to call all these hearings, and all the Democrats are going to be pounding their thumbs, going like this. Oh yeah, we're now Democrats. We're in charge. It's going to be the most sickening thing you've ever seen. It's going to be Trump redo, except that it's the Democratic Party. So rather than having to listen to the extremely disgusting Trump, you're going to get the disgusting Trump with the extremely disgusting Democrats together. And
I don't think anything gets more disgusting than the grumpy old pedophiles of the UFC fight when what's his name, insulted Michelle. And all I could have dreams about that night was Will Smith walking on the stage and slapping that ugly old man off the stage for saying something so insulting. But you talk about a group who says women shouldn't be in sports, because they get beaten up tremendously by men, and then they just drag them in by the hair like that. How disgusting! That is pedophile. That is pedophile character and behavior. Did you hear him? I'm going to shama your mama. I mean, what the heck? I mean, that is abuser, pedophile, disgusting behavior. The whole world should ban every fight he's in. Never say his name and make him walk the walk of shame.
All right, so I have a question.
Are there any grown-ups in the room?
Nick, I have a question for you.
Grown-ups. I am a grown-up.
Let's make you head of the Democrats, and you're mostly concerned with getting back the presidency in 2028, because without the presidency, you're screwed. What should the Democrats do in the next 2 years to win America back and get rid of this clowny administration?
James Tallarico has the biggest, to me, the biggest character to carry forward something, because he's not fighting back with the cartoons and everything
but he may not win
I don't think anyone's going to win from the Democrats if we continue fighting back. I think it's going to take someone who's up there and talks policy and convinces people to unite. And James does that. He takes a lot of punches from the Republicans and he takes them on the chin. I mean, he's walking around with a T-shirt now that says, "I'm a Talafrico." You know what? He's just taking it. When he is a diehard Christian, but he doesn't push religion in the state or in politics. He says religion needs to stay in the churches. People should have a right to their own religion, but we don't need to force it down children's throats, like putting the 10 Commandments in the schools. And I mean, what are they? I mean, you're a Christian and you sit there and you go, I believe Christ is going to forgive me of my sins. But then you list a bunch of rules. If Christ is going to forgive you for all the sins. Why do you need the 10 Commandments? He's going to forgive you, right?
But okay, so what are his policies? Because Harris had some interesting policies.
His policies are a good budget. He's got good mental sense on finances. So his policies are getting a good budget in place, utilizing the funds where they say they're going to be utilized. You know, he's going to focus on some of the fraud that's going on, just like everyone else. But his focus is, it's not just about the party. He's not always up there going, the Democrats are this and the Republicans are that. His focus is about what is right for the people. And I think that is going to have to be the focus. I'm going to go videotape the halls of the Senate and the Congress so that you can see those who just stand with Israel and Charlie Kirk, and what the signs over the doors that say, I stand for the people of America. And those are the people you're going to want to vote for, no matter who they are, whether they're Republican or Democrat. And I think James has the strength and the courage to push past through a lot of this. I think it's ridiculous every time they nail a Democrat for being, you know, dishonest or sexually wrong with another woman or whatever, or in an affair when, you know, you got Trump up there, you know, Clinton was up there, you know, and they shame a Democrat out of even a campaign because of it. That happened to John Edwards years ago. He was the best candidate for presidency because financially he was very strong and had a very good health plan in place for the country, along with his wife who helped put it together. But they quickly shamed him because, and I'm like, you know, you had Clinton.
Jonathan Edwards did worse stuff than, I mean, he got caught red-handed banging. I think he knocked her up too. One of his campaign aides.
Yeah, he got the girl pregnant while his wife was dying of cancer.
Yeah, yep. So he was.
So that's shame. That's shame.
Yeah. All right.
But you know what Trump does is shame. He's a pedophile.
All right. So Tallarico versus Paxton. Paxton's a terrible guy. Paxton engaged in conspiracy to cover up government conspiracy. He okayed bribes to cover up his at least one affair, and I think multiple affairs. His wife dumped him on biblical grounds because he was screwing around. He was impeached. He's been committing securities fraud for decades. He's got a wonky eye, so his face looks weird, yet he only trails Tallarico, this clean Christian guy, by 3% in the polls.
That's what the certain media is telling you. I think that Tallarico is really got a bigger jump on him than that.
Texas will always let you down.
Texas will always let you down. They let all those children down last year when the Republicans had funding to put in a better alerting system on the river, and they didn't spend the money on that. They could have, and they could have saved a lot of children. Instead, they blame a nurse for taking a group of children out, not being able to get others. You know, that she ran and saved herself. Instead, that, you know, they shame the women and let them take the blame for those children's deaths, when in reality, it was the Republicans who took money that was supposed to be spent on a better alerting system on the river, because that river has been known to flood like that in the past, you know, many years ago, about every 20 years. And you know, and instead they blame other people when it was the Republicans who took the money.
And speaking of blaming other people,
and I think Tallarico will change that. Tallarico has integrity. Tallarico is a very religious man, but he does not use his religion and push it in politics. And I think that's the kind of man it's going to take for a Democrat to beat. And Paxton is going to win probably because he has the money and the heavy backing to bully everybody into voting for them.
So you're saying it's going to be another loss for the Democrats.
It will be, but I think Tallarico will get backing in other ways. I know a lot of people who back Tallarico and fund him, actually, and they don't live in the state of Texas. They,
Yeah,
they
okay,
do
but
not. They
that's
think
where
he
you
has it. They
that's
think
where
he has
you get elected in the state you're running in.
it. True.
So it's
I just think that the Republicans overwhelm the state with no common sense. They have no common sense. It's all about a party, not policy. They would
why do
rather.
they have to have common sense? There are more registered Dems in Texas than Republicans. But Republicans turn out to vote every time. So why do the Republicans have to do anything for the people if people will vote for them regardless of what they do?
I think the Republicans cheat. I think that they have a cheat in the system and the votes aren't on it because they blame the Democrats cheating everywhere else. And I think it's because
okay, so they cheat. What they do stuff like you can't use your college ID to vote, but you can use your hunting license, even though your hunting license doesn't have a picture. Yeah, but so what?
It's true, Nick. It's
what
true.
works.
Is that really true? You can
Yes.
use a hunting license
Yes.
to vote in Texas.
Yeah.
But okay, so how are you going to overcome that?
And then they go
you
around
can't.
going, well, if doesn't everybody have a driver's license? Well, no, everybody does not. First year college students do not, because a lot of them don't, because they're not allowed to drive on campus their first year. And those are the students that you want voting, and they don't have an ID to vote because they don't have a driver's license. Driver's license costs money that a lot of people can afford. And a lot of people in the major cities now, they choose not to drive. They choose not to have a vehicle and the insurance because public transportation has improved enough that they can get around where they need. Not everybody drives. A lot of people have a regular ID, but it's not a driver's license, and that's something that the Republicans are pushing.
Well,
and they're shaming people for not having it. Well, shame on you for not.
Let's ask Steve. What do the Democrats need to do in the next 5 months to assure taking the House? And then if they do take the House, what do they need to do in the next 2 years?
Well, that's a good question. I'm sorry I was late, guys. I was on a call off of work. Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I mean, I think that if they hold where they are today, just given where we are with the war in Iran, the inflationary times we're in, rising oil, energy prices, costs, housing costs, I think you've got a good chance of the Democrats taking the House, possibly the Senate. But I think you raise a good point. What do they do with it? I think they have to first of all, they've got to find a presidential candidate and a message that is appealing to the working people of this country. They have to get away from the messages that tend to work well in the urban areas like Raleigh and Chicago boroughs and New York City and Charlotte and Chicago. And they got to go beyond that to the rural areas. And they got to talk about economic policy. They got to talk about education. They got to talk about jobs. Rather than being anti-AI, which we're seeing now, many Democrats, if we look at Governor Newsom, he's coming up with a lot of anti-AI blogs. Talk about how AI, you have a strategy, how you create the jobs in the economy, how you're going to compete globally. That's what the Democrats have to do. What they're fighting against is they become a party so far to the left that when they win the nomination, and right now I am predicting that Kamala Harris will most likely have the greatest chance of being the nominee of the party. I've went through that myself when Democrats typically elect women in primaries over men. And when they do that, what they do with Kamala Harris, they're going to go shift to the left. If it's Newsom or Kamala Harris as the nominee, then I think the Democrats have failed, and I think they're going to lose the presidency in 28. I think this is their last chance to win the presidency in our lifetime. I think if the Democrats don't win the White House this time, then I'll be a grandfather by the time a Democrat comes back in. I have kids. I don't have grandkids yet, but I'll be 72 years old. But anyway, Rick, I think that's what it is. And that's what Trump's done. He's made the Republican Party the party of the working class, the poor American out of work in rural America, the white American whose job has been displaced, the manufacturing towns that have been bust. Well, they're not voting Democrat in the presidential elections. So
but you got to get you got to get a Democrat that the Republicans would vote for. And who would that be? Who would
Andy
be?
Bashir. Andy Bashir, the governor of Kentucky, in my opinion,
There you go.
has the best chance to be the. So Rick, to sum up, I went over my time. I think the Democrats have to be on message. They have to focus on the fact that they have policies that can make our economy better. They would have foreign policies that would be more unifying, building our alliances, keeping the world safer, and doing it and bringing back the United States of America to a position where people are inspired us and they believe in us. And the president of the United States is looked upon as a leader of all the nations of the world who have fought and died for freedom. Go see the movie Pressure, and you are amazed that a man like of the caliber of Dwight D. Eisenhower was in the White House, to where we are today.
So one last question. How do you convince people that you can bring them jobs? Because tech and AI have been chewing up jobs and spitting people out into this half-assed economy where they have to drive Uber or go on OnlyFans. How do you convince people that there are going to be actual non-crappy jobs? Because tech is changing everything.
Well, I think it is. I think the job, there's still going to be opportunities of training the people on how to use the AI in the jobs that exist. Innovations occurring at 5 times the speed of when the cloud has come along. John Chambers said that a few weeks ago in a podcast that I was listening to. But the productivity gains are threefold from when the cloud came along. So what that means is that the larger companies can do more with less. So absolutely, you're not going to need those entry-level jobs, those mid-level jobs. So what we have to do is we have to focus more on education, focus more on training, making sure that we're working with the unions as well to make sure that they have a Bill of Rights in terms of their skills that they're going to get for the job. It's not going to happen overnight, but just like when the cloud came along, we often thought those jobs are going to go away. Order entry jobs went online, but then big companies came along and people were put in jobs where they were valued. So I think that's what we have to do, Rick. But the challenge is it's happening faster than we can ever blink an eye. I mean, I'm a lobbyist now in tech for my job. I have never seen innovation move at this speed. I mean, you go on a Monday, by Friday, the technology is obsoleted, something new is coming out. So that's going to be the biggest challenge, is how we keep up.
But and how do you convince people that when everything's in chaos, that somehow it's going to the tech machine is going to spit out jobs?
Yeah, I know that's the problem, right? And unfortunately, it's becoming political because you read these Gavin Newsom emails. I'm going to fight AI and do this and stuff because everyone's afraid about data centers and energy and utility bills. And so then what's happened is, even happening in North Carolina now, many progressive Democrats are anti-AI, anti-technology, which I don't think is good because they still want some of those companies coming in and growing and hiring jobs, like where Kimberly and I live, Pendo. That's the new Skyline in Raleigh. That's an AI company. They're going to be a unicorn soon. I don't know how you convince people, but it's going to take. It's an art, not a science. And I think we're all going through it. But I think that this is the problem. It's like we're on a plane ride. It's extremely turbulent. You have, imagine being on a plane ride. You've got, jobs shaking and this shaking and that shaking, and now you've got this empty vacuum of, I don't know where I'm going to go work, but I want your vote. You're going to lose your job, but I want your vote, right?
And that is the unfortunate situation that we're in. But quite honestly, I don't think we ever recovered from 20 years ago when the tech boom outsourced all of the engineering jobs to other countries after they trained them. And I watched this happen and watched friends and family that I worked with for years that invested in their education lose their jobs, lose their homes, and nowhere to go. A lot of them just had to totally reconvert their whole career path. And so what I like to do is highly recommend to many of the students out there, find a job that can't be outsourced. Okay, nursing, huge job.
Plumber. Okay, you're telling everybody to become a plumber, but you can only have so many freaking plumbers. You can become a carpenter, but then you earn 15.
There's not enough sleep-in analysts right now. Literally, there's not enough nurses. There's not enough sleep analysts. There are not enough, a lot of careers that will not be able to support our population growth in a few years. And that's where we need to focus now is
right. Doctors, we have a huge we have a shortage of hundreds of thousands of doctors in the US, but it costs a lot. The U.S., you can call it socialism, but frickin' the government needs to help people get through med school.
We need doctors, and they are going broke. Okay. They are broke the day they walk out of college, and some of them never recover, which is some of the reason why Nick and I started the first show that we did together was, he said he got tired of seeing that happen. So many very highly educated people going flat broke in 10 years. They're worse off than they were when they got out of college. And I loved Nick's speech about wanting to close that gap, because it wasn't just the people in poverty who had never been educated. It was the highly educated people who reduced themselves almost into poverty. And I've watched a couple of videos of even a guy who went to, one of the top schools in our country, and 10 years later, he's driving Uber and trying, and he met the president back then, he was top of his class, and he's driving an Uber, and he's broke. So,
like
where do you go
to subsidize training of all type, training for nurses, training for plumbers, training for carpenters, training for doctors. It'll cost a ton of money. We spent a ton of money in the 60s and 70s to educate Americans. We became the dominant technological nation because of the people we educated in tech 50 years ago.
And we outsourced all of that to other countries where
but we had a great run.
Money.
The 80s, the 90s, the aughts.
But the executive staff made all the money in America with tax deductions out the yang, as we've noticed. They only paid 3% or less, and they were paying less for income. And the other thing we have to do is get rid of some of the things that they force employers to purchase to employ people in the United States. And one of those things is workers' compensation, which is the biggest waste of our country. But insurance dominates our lives here, and that's who pays our politicians. And, unfortunately, we're out of time. Everyone, make sure you watch Sasha's show, the update on Ukraine and Russia. Also, keep your eyes open for the update of the Iran war. It's been over 48 hours. Byra, thank you for joining us. For over 48 hours since Trump announced that he has solved the problem yet again. But anyway, make sure you keep an eye open for that. And we will see you tomorrow. Until then, please take care.